a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. And I have a very interesting guest for you today, and please feel free to ask questions during the discussion. I will be having WhiteFox, who's a Native American shaman, and he does spiritual work, astral work, energy work, akashic work, and grid work. And we're going to talk to him today as soon as he comes back on. Oh my goodness, he just disappeared from the platform here. I'm not sure what happened, but in the meantime, we're having technical issues. Hopefully Pudwecker can get back on here, also known as WhiteFox. So this is kind of throwing me off a little bit, but we thought we had it all set up. We were having some problems right initially, but I'm sure he'll come back on as soon as he can. And if you can't get a picture on, don't worry about it. Just leave it the way it is. Hi, everyone. It's been a while. I'm still dealing with some hearing issues, but I wanted to bring WhiteFox on and talk about energies because he sees energies, which is rather unique. He was born with this vision. He's half, if I remember correctly, and he can correct me if he's wrong, if I'm wrong, he's half Blackfoot Indian. But anyway, he was born with a unique sight or vision. He sees auras with his physical eyes. He sees beyond the third dimension, and he claims he has been called to service the spirit. So he's here to help people stand in their power and to utilize their gifts and recognize their gifts. So, well, if you could come back onto your phone, Pudwecker, that would be a good thing. I don't want to have to run the show totally myself because I'm not exactly prepared to do so. So anyway, moving right along, he did write a poem, and I'll read that. And this was basically the theme of the show anyway, and it's to stand in your power. So let me read. He wrote this poem. Let me read it to you. Wait a minute. To stand in our power, I have heard it said. For years this phrase echoed inside of my head. I pondered and thought and lived day by day with the turmoil and stress and drama of this place. Seems everyone a victim and a social slave. In my quiet hours, I heard a whisper repeat, stand in your power. It woke me from sleep. 3:33 a.m., I found myself on my feet. Stand in your power, I did repeat. Stand in your power? What even does it mean? The rest of the month, I repeated strange dreams. I saw a repeating number many times every day. My life seemed to simply fall apart, but the question seemed to echo in my heart. With nothing to lose on my darkest day, I found my light, and the answers finally came. My fears fell away. My strength grew from inside, being grateful to simply be alive. The whispers and the dreams felt a lot like taking classes. And the last few days, I was shown to short was shown to share with the masses. Be not in fear. It gives away your power. Instead, be in love, for that is the truest power. And that was written by WhiteFox. Okay. I hope you're get back on your phone, Podwhacker. You're kind of leaving me hanging here. Anyway, it's been those kind of times lately. It seems we have so much going on, and yet we don't know what's really going on, but we hear a lot of stuff, isn't it? Oh, yep, it's one of those Timo says shit happens, and I'm sorry to say so, but it does, doesn't it? We've been getting an extra lot of it here lately, too. I don't know. I didn't watch that debate because I knew how that was going to turn out anyway, but I can't even believe they're even bothering debating, because what are they debating for? An election of a, let's see what I call a bankrupted U.S. corporation that is no longer no longer in existence, according to courts in, I believe it's Jacksonville, Florida. So that, I don't believe we will have an election, but that's just my opinion, and I'm okay with that. But our republic is being restored, and I have to thank the work of the Trump team for leading the way in that regard. And I'll be so happy when everything switches over. I have some information I could share with you, because this is, well, let me see. They keep replacing people, and it gets really confusing as to why do they keep replacing people. It's it's crazy is what it really is. But I have some information here, and this is from 107. Everybody in this theater who's going after the monster, the beast, is taking their chances. Justice Thomas, who's got a great security detail, takes his wife out to dinner, gets super sick, and they think they got poisoned. President Trump got extremely ill, and there's a discussion he got hit with a very complex 3-part poison. The person who has food taster had to retire, did not recover. Listen to these guys, they just kill anybody if they don't like what they're doing. Well, it looks like I can bring Podwhacker back on. So it's time for everybody to wake up. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm not sure which one you want me to bring on. I can't bring them both on, I don't think. Let me see. That's weird. Let me try this one. Can you hear me? Are you talking? I can't hear you talk. Well, he's here, but I'm not hearing anything. This may be now I can hear you. A little bit.
Well, my phone crashed and my computer unfroze. So my apologies for the technicals.
Okay. I'm not sure which. Oh, there you go. Okay. Because you had 2 pictures up. Now I can't hear you. Can you say something? Testing?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Now I can. Now I can. I didn't at first, though. So, okay, I'm just kind of jumping all over the place here because I didn't know where to go when you weren't on.
When your song started playing, my phone started screwing up and my computer froze. That's what happened. I don't know if it's the energy or not, because the energy in here is everywhere and very thick.
Okay, well, let's talk about your ability to see energies, because that's where we were going to go with this. So, and Annie says you can be heard, so that's good. So let's talk about energies and how unique they are to you, because you're able to see them and you were born with this ability, correct?
That is correct. I've been seen this way as long as I have been alive, but it's actually become more intense since 2012.
Okay. So when you
Um,
see someone's aura, what do you actually see?
well, if I'm just walking by, not really paying
Pardon?
attention, it looks like a blob of energy. Varied colors, constantly in motion, like a cloud around the average person. If somebody's angry and I walk by, in a lot of cases, I'll see a lot of red flowing in the aura in a very chaotic manner, not very coherent, and usually about 6 feet around a person. When I meet people who are awake, I can actually
So
see that.
you're
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. When I meet somebody who's awake or walking their path, whether they're aware of it or not, their aura is actually anywhere between 8 feet and 12 feet in diameter around them. I can physically see this. If I focus
Wow.
looking at an aura, then the cloud tends to clear up and show me an amazing, constant changing kaleidoscope of patterns and colors. And if I look a little harder, I can actually see the energy flowing throughout the chakras. Takes a lot of
Oh,
focus,
that's
though.
amazing.
Since 2012, it's expanded, and I've been able to see energy flowing through electrical wires, flowing through the air. Some inanimate objects actually have an aura.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It can be an overload in a crowd because I don't have an off switch or a filter for it. It just has always been this way for me.
So do you find yourself tending to stay away from crowds and a lot of people?
I do. I do go into them because I'm used to working with the public. For a living, I'm a mechanic. Uh, Interesting choice. But for the most part, I do tend to find myself retreating into nature where the aura is much more calm and pleasant. The trees have a really awesome aura.
Annie's asking why do you think it's gotten more intense since 2012?
In 2012, I had an experience on December 27th at 11:37 p.m. I was sitting watching a video of Tesla, and it literally felt like the hand of God reached down and touched me. I found myself in a state of bliss, and it felt like I was electrified from head to toe. Since then, my sight has
Oh,
become
wow.
much more intense. Um, I do actually see entities. People can't hide their form from me. I can see what they really look like. And nobody knows how to connect with the aura, so everyone's aura is telling completely the truth, regardless of what they have to say.
Excuse me, can I ask you, there's someone that's saying your volume is very low. Can you speak up or speak into your speaker or whatever as much as possible?
Let me see if I can turn it up for you. With it working, I didn't really want to mess with it very much. Is that any better?
I think that was Mathis, you had mentioned it. Is that better for you? I don't know if it's better for them or better for me, but it needs to be better for the listeners.
I had to turn off the YouTube channel so I can't read comments or anything to keep my computer still working. It's a little bit about 15 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So you had some type of electric experience, so to speak, in 2012. That at that time it intensified your apparent gifts of seeing energy. Is that correct?
not just my sight, but it also amplified my senses and gave me a stronger connection with my intuition. That's what's been guiding me since 2012 in everything I do. It's kind of hard to
Okay.
ignore when it goes from a whisper to somebody with a megaphone. And that's what it felt like since 2012. That's how it's been for me.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned when we spoke was that you felt that it's been your calling to help people and to get them to stand in their power. Would you like to elaborate on that a little more?
Well, my whole life I've really been inclined and actually drawn to simply helping people in any way possible. That's part of why I became a mechanic to begin with. Everybody needs one. But after 2012, it felt almost as if that inner voice that was so quiet, like I said, it's like it's got a bullhorn now because it's louder than everything else. And it has given me a series of dreams, as well as randomly I'll hear music and voices. No, I'm not on drugs, but I just hear random whispers in the distance and even in the wind. When I meditate connected to Gaia, I actually get similar visions, so I'm not afraid of them. But many of them have guided me to showing people what it is that they're really capable of. The energy that I can see has made it easier for me to understand and therefore start using it. And I want to encourage people to actually use the gifts that they were given. Not everybody has the same sight or the same gift. There are some that everyone can share, such as telepathy. But at the same token, we all have a unique gift we've all had the entire time, and it's up to us to figure it out to use it. On top of that, as creator beings, manifestation is not the only way to use the energy that you have. It flows through you like a river into everything around you, and your intention is what controls it. Your imagination is what gives it form. There's also some other intricacies, but that would be a really deep talk, maybe at another time. But at the moment, it suffices to say, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And it doesn't matter which part of your body it flows from, or even directly from your aura. Where your intentions go, your energy flows. A good example would be changing a red light. If you sit at a red light and you're annoyed with that red light, you're out of balance. Therefore, you couldn't stand in your power and use your energy to adjust the red light. But with a little bit of confidence and practice, you can change red lights by snapping your fingers. I've done this for years and have had many people see me do it and wonder if I had a remote. I even got pulled over once and the cops searched my car for a remote for the red lights. You can also use it in any other number of ways, depending on what you choose to focus on and your intent behind it. Now, go ahead.
Sometimes I think that people don't necessarily even realize that they're focusing on something negative, so to speak, because we've been so programmed in so many ways that sometimes these automatic negatives just are imprinted on us in a way, and starting to recognize them is what's really important, and then you can change it. But if you aren't aware of it, it's you can't fix something you don't know about. That's what I'm getting at.
Most people do not know that the negative thoughts that they're interacting with, first off, this world has never been just 3D. The 4D layer around us is not empty either. There's a great many lower entities that walk around following people, and I've seen this, and they'll whisper thoughts into their head. They'll whisper negative things to them. Now, for the average person that this isn't happening to, there's also the fact that so much negativity flows through the collective conscious. And even if you're not conscious of it, you do pick up on it.
Well, I was wondering, they've been saying all along here that these negative beings, a lot of negative beings have left the planet, so to speak. Now, have you noticed any difference in the level of negative energy versus the level of positive energy, or any kind of balancing effect or anything like that, since you're aware of energies more so than the average person?
Well, as far as the energies of the average person I meet, I'd say that the vast majority of the high level negative ones are gone,
Mhm.
but some of the low level astral ones around you are still there. I still do see some whispering into some people's ear. But people who are on a positive path don't get that nowhere near as much as those who are down and frustrated or in a lower vibrational state, because they can't do anything to you, even astrally, unless you are somewhere within a range of their energy signal. Then you're open to what they suggest. But if you keep yourself in a state to where you're more positive, and I don't mean toxic positivity, that's not beneficial, but positive in a way that you're grateful, that brings you up out of a range to where you're out of their spectrum. The average sleeping person still flows in that general spectrum due to both ignorance and their soul's choice. But those who've woken up, that's because it's your soul's choice to do so. Therefore, you're open to all of this if you choose it, because free will is honored the entire way. But there's a great many entities. I used to see them a whole lot more before 2012. But there's still a bunch around. It's not completely done. And a lot of the energy that I've been seeing coming in from these blasts from space, whether it be our sun or somewhere else, I'm not sure entirely, but it looks like it's raining energy, and it changes color, intensity, and varied all the time. Here late today alone, I counted 6 different changes in the energy in the sky. It's actually right now more about a chartreuse kind of purplish color.
Well, depending on the person's attitude or trauma that they experience or whatever, do you see like holes in the aura or brown colors or any of that type of thing?
I've never seen what look like holes in an aura in anyone.
Okay.
However, I have seen dark swirls, both indicating to the body of physical ailments. Um, Unfortunately, the gift did not come with instructions. I can't tell you what everything means, but I can see a lot of it. Over time, I begin to understand a little bit of it. But when you're
Oh,
talking about getting holes in the aura, what they probably mean is where there's an energetic line attached to you that either someone or something is using to siphon away your energy.
so you see entities that are attached to people?
Yes, I do. And it's
Wow.
not pretty.
Wow. So, okay, we're going to come back to that question, but Mathis is asking, how do we protect ourselves properly from astral attack as we are sleeping?
Well, the old practice of putting a white light bubble protection around yourself does a lot more than people think it does. It really does show up in the aura. You can always place a ring of salt around your bed. That actually works multidimensionally. Even if it's just simple house salt, salt is still a crystal. Crystals in general hold high vibe, and they will happily help you, especially if you connect with them on a personal level. Meditating with them is a good way to do that.
Why is salt such a deterrent?
I'm still not 100% on that, but I've seen that it's extremely effective both against witchcraft as well as against demons and even just the basic random spirit that might walk up and try to mess with you because it's bored.
Oh, that's interesting. Mathis says he just puts salt around his bed. Isn't that interesting that would just come up? That's
That one works very well. Another way is to envision a shield in your space, create an energetic bubble, and put it in place, and nothing can penetrate that bubble while you're sleeping. So, possession while you're asleep can't happen without you inviting the experience anyway because of the laws of the universe. However, that doesn't mean they can't invade your dreams and mess with your head.
Somebody's asking, J Thought's asking, should your bed be against the wall?
Doesn't matter.
The only thing that I know of that Shung Fu thing is that basically, what I've read anyway, is your head should face north.
Either north or south, according to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, if you, in the 13th tablet, if you lay for an hour a day with your head to the north, and then another hour with your head to the south, it's supposed to align the magnetics in your body and extend your life.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh,
That was an
WhiteFox.
interesting read.
Yeah, there's something about this salt that negative entities just don't like it. I have salt on the
It's
windowsills
Friday afternoon.
of my.
Celebrate the start of the weekend.
I have salt on the windowsills of my house. I've put salt on the doorways. Anyway.
I go around my entire property and I place a light layer of salt. Then I come back in my house and I communicate with all my crystals I have all over the place. And I use them as a grid of energy, holding the barrier around my property. I was shown to do this by spirit, and I've even seen my barrier deflect lightning. In the last 2 years, there's been a very serious outbreak of tornadoes come through this area, and I have yet to have one come through my space.
Interesting.
They've been literally a block away and did not come through my space. So I believe the barriers really can work. And the more time you put into it, the more thought in a positive way, the stronger they get. The salt layer actually helps to create a foundational base so that it would maintain even if you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, I like that idea because sometimes if you forget to protect yourself before you fall asleep at night or something like that, you. But I don't have negative dreams, and I'm very grateful for that fact. But
not all negative dreams are from a demon. Sometimes it's your higher self trying to tell you something. Dreams are extremely metaphoric in the way they play out.
Yeah, I very rarely remember my dreams, which is a problem for me. But I'm wondering this. This is a thought that came to my mind. Sometimes why do some people wake up in the morning and they're just crabby as all get out, and then there's other people that wake up and they're always in a good mood?
Part of that has to do internally. Those inner blockages you meant about, as they build up within you, that can cause a differentiation on your mood. Perspective is also an issue that can bring in that. Each individual and how they see the world has a big part to play in how they feel about the world around them. Some people just don't like mornings, so they're that way. Usually the way to correct such a bad mood, if you find yourself in one, is to start listing off things you're grateful for. Even the simple little things, like a butterfly.
Okay, somebody is saying, are the spirits, and I'm sure he means bad spirits, parasites, and how we combat those?
Well, energetically, the spirits, the negative ones, or spiritual parasites, as some people call them, which are usually low grade or low frequency fourth dimensional beings, even if they are looking like a worm. Size and shape doesn't matter. They can change that in the astrals. You can too if you project there, but how do you protect against that? Well, normally, if you wish, you can actually ask your guardian angels to do it, because they will. Or you can program yourself with affirmations that you are protected. And in that, you start getting divine protection against such things. The only way a parasite like that can attach to you is if you invite it in. And the ways that you can invite it in is, say, if someone cuts you off in traffic and you get mad about it. Well, you're mad. You're inviting in that entity that keeps feeding on angry energy.
Also, there are entities that feed on the anger emotion. Then,
yes.
Is what we're saying.
Now, anger is a neutral state, actually. It's both positive and negative, and what determines how it is how you react to it. A justified anger is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
But
righteous
if you
anger.
take
Yeah.
it too far, then you're inviting negative because you're putting off and creating negative, such as if you break something because you're mad. Took me a while to learn this one, by the way. But if you redirect that negative energy from being angry, you can put it into your work, you can put it into any number of things, including positive. If someone cuts you off in traffic and you're angry, you can easily send them that anger transmuted as love. And in doing so, you eliminate any possibility of a negative entity around you trying to attach. Instead of an eye for an eye, that's an old 3D way of looking at things.
When are we gonna get out of the realm, or the when are they gonna leave? Are these negative entities? Why are they still here? Are they bunch of minions of the larger entities, or what's the story on that? Why
From,
can't they just leave us alone?
from my understanding, most of the people who are still being attacked at by such entities, those entities are doing everything they can to stay here because as the light quotient increases, most of them do flee. Now, some of the more stubborn ones will stick around all the way up to the event. After the event, there will still be some of those entities, but they will be on the lower 3D Earth. That's when the bifurcation of timelines truly happens. It's in progress right now. We're choosing our paths by how we live our lives right now.
So we should be cultivating love wherever we can, and getting up.
Absolutely. We should be the light, and the light doesn't shine from a dark place. That's where you find your light. That's not where you shine your light. This world is the dark place right now, and it's all of our jobs to shine our light by simply being the positive beings that we can be. But that's entirely choice as well.
Random acts of kindness help a lot.
Absolutely. They can brighten your day. Just simple acts of holding a door or even standing quietly in the corner of a room. A year ago, I did this at a Subway. I walked in the room, there was about 50 people, and they were not happy. It was really loud and bustly, and I could feel a lot of anger in the air in the room. I was not trying to look around because, well, that would be attention overload. So instead, I literally closed my eyes, standing in line to wait to get my food, and took 5 minutes to push my energy out into the entire room. And then I was grateful. And in 5 minutes, the whole room's energy shifted. People started having positive conversations. It became really chill in there. I even had somebody come up to me and say thank you and run off. Some little kid. I didn't know anybody knew I did that. But that's the conscious choice of using my energy in that way. The aura is not limited to a 6-foot span. The more you go down your path and you ascend in the sense of your own path and what you're doing individually, the brighter and the bigger your aura gets. That's why it's said that one awake person has the energetic influence just by their presence as 10 non-awake people. So
that's cool.
By carrying that
Okay,
in a positive way, you're affecting people even if you never say a word to them, and they're clueless about it.
I'd like to answer this question Mathis has, is if the salt line breaks, can they come in, or is that a myth?
That's myth. It's the intent. You have to actively take apart the circle. That's known as a circle of protection. If it breaks accidentally, energetically and intently, it's still there, even if you can't see it or sense it. And many times after you put one up yourself, you won't be able to feel it unless you tell yourself to feel it, because it's your own energy. You won't really notice walking through it or carrying it with you if you choose. You can also ask the crystals to help you to maintain it so you don't have to think about it.
Okay. Jay Thought's asking, can you see the Lightworker signature, and have you ever approached someone based on what you energetically saw?
Actually, yes. There is a key signature, and it's not really a signature. It's more like a specific tweak to the energy frequency of the individual. even some of the darker people you think are dark aren't necessarily. Um, a light worker signature, from what I can see, usually they have a sparkle or more of an otherworldly type coloration to their aura, showing their spiritual progress, because it does show up in the aura. In fact,
Wow.
anything that goes on with you shows up in your energetic body, which the aura is an extension outside the physical body of the etheric body, or the energy body.
This is interesting. Wide Awake says that I've been under attack in my astral. She went from my rib cage trying to pierce them. I had to put her eyes out to get her off of me. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed child. I had pain in my rib cage for months. Wow.
Yes, what affects you when you're astrally traveling does affect your energy body, not your physical. However, the physical body is a derivative of the energy body, so you will still feel it. It sounds to me like you're still playing in the lower astrals if you're being attacked, because when you get to the mid-range and upper astrals, which is based on your vibration,
Interesting.
your overall vibration, not your in-the-moment vibration, by the way. You can go up and down the scale while you're in the astrals and pop up and down within the
Oh, wait a
astrals.
minute. I already said that one. Excuse me. Sorry.
So just climb on up out of the gutter and keep walking, and they can't touch you. Or you can have fun with it and picture yourself wearing spiritual armor and go have a ball, blow off some steam. There's plenty of dark down there in the lower astrals to play with if that's what you want to do. I don't recommend it.
Well, I don't remember my dreams, but I was told by a psychic that I'm very active in the astral and I'm traveling all over the place. But anyway, I wanted to read this, what Mathis said, because it's kind of funny. He
All
says,
right.
in my dreams, a blonde woman was holding my arms down, pinning me. I swung my knee up to crack her in the jaw as I expected to connect. I woke up and I was swinging my leg up, almost threw myself off the bed. That's hilarious.
You were really in sync with the dream.
I have to tell you that it just reminded me of something that happened when I was just a child at this time, and it just shows I was actually jumping rope in my bed in a dream, but I was actually physically jumping rope. And my mother, she was in a room right next to me, and she could hear what was going on. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm playing jump rope. I mean, I answered and everything. I was totally asleep, but it was hilarious. Anyway, she got a kick out of it. And sometimes I guess I could be like lucid dreaming, huh? Because my mom asked me that. I went right back to jumping rope. So,
yeah,
anyway.
Well, that actually kind of sounds like the inner child playing with you. If you want to know how to really discover your gifts, get in touch with your inner child. They hold the key to your magic. Magic is science not yet understood. In modern day, in the military, magic is called energy manipulation, and it can be done by both machinery and the human consciousness. And this is proven. There were studies done by the CIA that were released in the last couple of years, and some of that document dump. And there was also other writings in the past. I wish I could remember the name of the books, but it's been a long time since I read them. I read a lot of books on the topic to try and understand what it is I was seeing. The only one who could really help me with that was the shaman I was under training with. I'm half Blackfoot, and my tribe is in upstate New York on the border to Canada.
Wasn't the book Black Elk Speaks, isn't he a Blackfoot Indian?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was, interestingly enough, that was the first book, the first thing I was told to read on the first Indian reservation I was on. I was told to read Black Elk Speaks. Anyway, moving right along. Can you see if a person is more than 2 DNA strand activated?
I cannot see to the DNA level, but I can see in their auras based on their chakras what's going on with their energy body. I cannot see the DNA, although I've had many dreams showing me DNA being repaired, being uplifted, even more strands active. One evidence science has found to this fact since 1987. In the 90s, it was rare for a child to be born with a 2-strand umbilical cord. In the 2000s, that number exploded, and now 90% of children born have 3 strands to the umbilical cord.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So there's some physical evidence that this is actually happening. And yes, some people do begin to sparkle. I don't.
They do begin to do what?
Some people, as they absorb the incoming light codes and energies, their bodies will actually begin to sparkle like they're wearing glitter when they're not.
Oh, wow.
That's the
Okay.
3D visual part. In the
Wow.
aura, it's not just sparkles, it's like explosions of light energy popping off all through the aura as they're taking in the light codes.
Like having sparklies.
Absolutely.
Okay, Wide Awake says she says, I am a positive, high vibrational with vibrant yellow white aura, great chakra glowing. I believe I was jumped while passing through the lower astral.
That can happen. It can happen if you're in the lower astral. It's because your vibe has set you up to go through the lower astral, because you don't have to. In the astral plane, travel is instantaneous or at your own pace. If you choose to walk the distance, you will. If you choose to fly, you will. If you choose to just be there, you will. That's part of how it works in the astral. I've been playing in the astral since I was a kid, and the shaman taught me how to get there.
Well, I used to obviously do that sort of thing, but since I've gotten older, it seems I've lost that ability. I don't know.
You didn't lose it. Your inner child has it.
Okay.
If you'd like, I could do a session with you and help you to connect with your inner child.
Well, I just might appreciate trying that, see if it helps. I don't remember my dreams either, and I should say I got to quit saying that, because maybe that's helping to make that happen.
That is reaffirming it. That is
Yes.
true. Most people don't mindfully think of how they speak, but words are called spelling because you're casting spells. In school, they teach you just enough to be susceptible, but not enough to fully understand what's going on. Lawyers make so much money because they do know all the legal speak and how it all interplays and why you have to be proper and etc. But that also works at an energetic level. Things you say to yourself, your own ears hear you. So your body is going, okay, we won't remember them. Just as an example. That's why positive affirmations about yourself are very beneficial, because your own ears hear you say it.
What are you saying? Mathis is saying it's because I smoke weed. What?
No, there's nothing wrong
so.
with smoking weed. If you choose to smoke weed for pleasure reasons, just to get high, you're wasting it. Because the real purpose of weed, if you look back in its history, marijuana was a gift to the planet by the goddess Shiva, according to the Indian culture. It's supposed to help to open the third eye. But if misused or relied upon like a crutch, then it's just wasting it. You're getting high, but you're not getting any of the spiritual benefits from it. It's one of those things you really want to do in moderation.
I look at, I tell people this, and this is a fact. I have smoked and unsmoked, and it didn't seem to make any difference in terms of my dreaming and remembering my dreams. But I've had somebody say that before. That's why I don't remember. It does help me sleep, though, I will say that much. But I don't think it has anything to do with dream recalls or whatever. I am starting now to remember bits and pieces more than I ever have before. So I'm thinking that it's coming back. I just have to be patient.
The reason most people don't remember their dreams is because when they go to sleep, they leave their physical body, and they're in their astral body, and there's a veil in between. Because if you're 3D and asleep, you don't know nothing about spiritual world, so it doesn't apply to you. That's why you don't remember, because you're coming through that veil back into your body when you wake up. You may remember for a little while. That's why people tell you to write it down in dream journals in the morning. But until you expand your consciousness to the point where you know that the dream world is actually a specific frequency within the astral world. And yes, there's a barrier protecting it from the lower astral. If you have a bad dream, in 90% of cases, it's your higher self or some part of yourself, whether it be your inner child, your inner demon, all of which are a valid part of you, including the ego. The original purpose of the ego was to keep you physically alive, and the dark figured out how to program the ego, which is why it's always so negative. Most people tell you to kill the ego. I don't. I tell you to befriend the ego, recognizing it as the valid part of yourself. Because if you don't, it's going to fight you anytime you try to do anything spiritual. Because it thinks you're going to kill the body, and then it'll be out of a job.
Interesting. J Thought's asking, what's some astral plane history and news? Was it compromised a few years back? How is it governed?
The astral plane cannot be compromised. It's a valid plane that exists within all realms. It's like the space in between spaces for the spirit or the soul. As far as hijacked and what's controlling the earthly astral plane, that happened more than 10,000 years ago. We're coming to an end with that. There are battles going on all over the lower astrals to clear it out, because the earth and everyone on it has to pass through that to get where we're going. So beforehand, I mean for 20 years now, they've been working on clearing the lower astrals for safe passage for us through during the event. Or the solar flash, however you wish to put it. As far as, there you go.
Okay, here's a question for you. How do we find a reputable shaman to assist us with a chronic health condition that no one has been able to figure out?
To find a reputable shaman, just look for a genuine one. You'll know it by the feeling and the vibration from that person when you walk up to them. And hopefully the best thing to get to heal yourself is yourself. Internally, there are things that need to be straightened up if you have a physical ailment, because all ailments start at the energetic level. That's why they're visible in the aura. If you can clear the energetic blockages, those are what solidify and become cancers and other things. Clearing out such old energy can help prevent and remove those, as well as working on removing the mental programming that this causes cancer or that causes cancer. Because that mental programming, you're always seeing it. Well, that's part of them attacking your subconscious to program you so that you do get cancer.
I'm going to be, just for people's interest, listeners, I am going to have, when I can make an arrangement, there's a YouTube channel and two women that run a show called The Shaman's Cave. And it's my understanding these women are both recognized around the world as very sought after shamans. So if I can get them on the show at some point, there will be someone that you can talk to. But you can also talk to WhiteFox here too. I don't know if he does that sort of thing on our...
Actually, I've been volunteering with the spiritual community for more than 10 years, mostly with the higher self community, but now I'm expanding out. I have a Telegram channel. You're welcome to share that, Gail.
Now, what do you do? I have a friend, for example, who always wants me to bring this up on shows about spiritual bypass and why does it have to cost so much money for someone to be able to get some help? And so,
to be honest, I've asked that question many times. Never once in my entire voluntary I have ever charged anyone anything. I don't understand why people do. I mean, I get making a little bit for your own pocket for your service, because it does take time and energy. But at the same time, they are charging ungodly amounts as if everybody's rich. That's not really helping anyone. So what's
exactly. That's why I don't charge for my shows, and I don't put a paywall on my shows. I do ask for help because I do need it. And the affiliate links are helpful as well. But I don't charge for it. And there are people that have, you know, a ton more people than I do following them, and they put their stuff behind a paywall, and I'm going, why do you do that? You know, I just don't agree with it. But I'd rather have somebody contributing because it comes from their heart. That's what they want to do, not because
That's
that's
what
what
I
they
do.
have to do.
A couple years back, I actually started. I was attempting to build a community on my acre of land here in Kentucky, and I've had several people come and go. I've had my girlfriend. She came here from Oregon and has been here for 2 or 3 years from the community just to help. She wasn't my girlfriend when she came here, and no, that wasn't why she came here. But things just kind of developed. But in any event, I've never charged one penny to help anyone, whether on the phone or in person, with the exception of my mechanical skills, because that's how I make my 3D living. I've never charged for my spiritual services of any kind.
Well, I have a friend, that I was telling you about, that I'm going to send to you. Okay,
All right, cool.
maybe you
I
can
love
help
meeting
him.
new people.
He frequently tells me he's suicidal, so I'm, and I just don't know what to do. I get.
I've actually helped quite a bit with some people with that too, a couple years back.
Oh, I have selenite right next to my bed. I've had it under my pillows too.
Good joy.
I do remember little bits and pieces here and there, but if I don't write it down right away, I totally forget it in a very short period of time. But
Let's see.
okay.
Somebody asked what I know about the 3 days of darkness. I know
Where
that
is
it's
that?
going to happen, but not necessarily. The only thing I have up is our chat though, off to the right side.
Oh yeah, Tim makes this difference, and I'd like to make that. There's a big difference between a stoner and a smoker. It's like
Absolutely.
a drunk versus someone that has an occasional drink, or even one or two, but doesn't get crazy. Moderation in everything is really truthful. But
That's been the best course of action for me in my life. It's kept me out of trouble too. Well, as far as the 3 days of darkness, from what I have been shown, it is possible that this matrix, including the physical one, will be shutting down for a brief period of time. 3 days is, I don't know if that's going to be an exact. Some have stated 10. And it really depends on which ancient text you read. There's been a lot of people modernly saying it, but I don't think any of them really have a clue. But from what I've been shown from Spirit, there's a good possibility that even our sun may go quiet for a while, but it's not going to be permanent. And during that time is when we will be transitioning through the lower 4D into the upper 4D, because even most of the awake people are not ready to go straight into 5. We're being created a place in the upper 4D for us to continue our evolution for those of us who are making that soul choice. And it's not a discrimination or a hatred against people what's causing the divide. It's each individual soul choice. If you're conscious and awake, then you have say in that choice. If you're not going to pick up the ascension energies. You're not going to get any of this. It'll be like just basic walking around 3D.
I see there's a lot of different suggestions there for going to sleep at night.
I've never had any trouble sleeping, though, since for the last 4 years, I can't tell the difference between being awake and asleep.
Oh my goodness. I haven't been having that much trouble falling asleep later. In fact, I'm sleeping longer than I usually do. But sometimes if I got something bothering me, that can keep me awake. And I have used melatonin in the past or tried, but melatonin's kind of tricky too. You got to be careful you don't take too much of it, and you take it early enough in the evening, or you can wake up in the morning very groggy.
I've never had much trouble sleeping, but I have ADHD, so when I'm done for the day, I have already burnt more energy than 4 people around me. So when I crash hard. I don't hear nothing except what I'm doing in the astrals.
Wow. Well, that's I haven't. I've been sleeping more than usual lately. So, but the energies. Let's talk about the energies on the planet right now, though. Energies that people are dealing with that are in the collective. What's your comment on that?
Well, the collective energies, I've been watching it for several years now, and they've been getting steadily more intense. And each person is affected uniquely by the energy based on where they're at internally. If they're having a lot of blockages, this energy is to flush it out and help you if you've chosen the ascension path. If you haven't, then you're missing all of them, and your body will start to go into a shutdown mode. Um, I can tell you that the colors have been, I can't find most of them anymore on the color wheel because they're beyond that. Most of the light workers I've met in person have been that way as well. Just the energy and the space around them is just amazing. But it will trigger things in you being in that kind of energy if you haven't made that, done that inner work, figured out those blockages and stuff like that. And that's a whole big thing. But the energies have been really affecting people. I've seen 3D people that have always just been friendly, normal people just start losing it recently, especially on days that I'm feeling really great. And then other days, the ascension energy is making us sleep more, or the body is reacting to the energy and making us feel sick, feel old injuries, be off balance. You might even have visual effects. The energy is affecting people in a great different many ways, and not just immediately when it hits the planet, but also over time. I see sometimes the same energy bounce around, leave off to the left in the sky, and then like 2 hours later, it's coming around from the right. So it's really hard to say for sure, except that it's absolutely happening and real. It's just not happening in our time frame, and it's not happening instantaneous. Because if it did, half of our bodies would explode from the shift, from frequency. The Schumann on the Earth is not accurate by the way it's measured and shown to the public. But at the same time, today, as an example, we're under a G4 geomagnetic storm, and that affects cognitive, that affects the physical body, and any number of ways, depending on you personally and the way your energy flows. Energy can flow clockwise or counterclockwise for people. And the physical way to tell, the part in the center of your hair, the way that it swirls, that's the flow of your body. In the energetics, I can simply look, and it flows in almost like a toroidal field coming out the top of your head and going back in at your feet.
I'm just scrolling through the questions now to see what other, if I missed some of these.
I've literally seen people use their energy and push it out of their hand to affect other things. The flow of your energy will determine whether your right hand or your left hand is your projector. Your offhand will be your receptive, and that allows you to move and control energy, which the left and right palms are two halves of the same chakra. Just like yin and yang has two halves.
I never heard that. I'm going to have to throw this up there. Some people think the more money you spend, the more you get what you want. Now, I never heard that one before, but if you don't have it, how can you spend it?
I've heard that as one of those money mastery things, ads on YouTube and such. Money originally is supposed to represent energy exchange, and that reference, if you put in energy, you get energy out. That would be true if you just replaced money with energy. And you can damn sure manifest money in that way, but manifestation is still slow until you shift completely out of 3D. It also has to do with your beliefs and your stance internally about money as to whether you'll attract it or not. Personally, I've never cared for money, so I don't have much, but I have more than abundance of everything else I need.
I feel that way too. I don't, yeah. My landlord won't give up on money no matter how much I try to
Of
convince
course
him.
not. Most people who are
That's
landlords or business people are all about the money. That's their path. They
yeah,
got to have it.
yeah,
It's like a drug. Gotta have the money. Gotta have the money.
yeah.
You can have $1 billion, but you can't take it with you, and it means nothing on the other side. It means zero in the astral plane.
When we leave this plane, we don't take a U-Haul truck
No.
behind us.
In fact, when we make the shift, you can't take your old way of thinking with you, your old blockages and biases, and we all have them in one sense or another. But you can't take that with you. That's why I say everyone needs a paradigm shift. One of the big ones is going to be about money.
Yeah, that's going to be real big. You know, it's funny. What it reminds me of is if you've been pretty much, living hand to mouth most of your life, right? And then all of a sudden you have all this money. You're still going to be, it's going to be a lot like the cattle or the animals that are kept behind a fence. And then all of a sudden you remove the fence and they still stay within the confines of the fence.
Exactly.
And so
I like
people are
what you
going
got
to,
up on the screen. Try to teach yourself to use your non-dominant hand. It does open up the way the brain works. However, energetically, if you try to do that without low energy practice, if you've never used your energy before, the chakra network within your arms and hands can only handle so much flow. It's like a trickle of a stream. The more you practice with it and the more confidence and belief you have in it, the more those chakra channels open and you can use 10 times the energy. But if you try to use it in a reverse flow, you're literally fighting yourself energetically, and it can cause damage or blockages to the chakras. So I don't recommend that for chakras, but in everyday practice, use, writing, whatever, that's a good idea.
Wide Awake says we have to drop the materialistic mind. and
I
Tim
agree with
says,
that 100%.
good luck with that. It is, a lot of us already have, but a lot of us haven't, there's a certain, comfort level that it would be nice if everybody could have. It's kind of interesting here in one of the surrounding towns. They're bringing in a whole bunch of what they call tiny homes, and believe me, they are tiny. And personally, I believe everybody has a right to a decent amount of space, and I those little tiny things remind me of those apartment buildings that are empty in China, that they're setting it up for 15, these what they call these 15-minute cities and so on.
Yeah,
You don't.
that's a trap, and that takes you down the inorganic ascension path if that's your beliefs.
Right.
That has a lot to do with a lot of things. Big Brother mostly. Um, no, the tiny homes remind me of those. You can rent a hotel room or a small apartment in China, but it's no bigger than basically the size of a coffin in some cases. And it's not cheap. And some of the tiny homes actually kind of remind me of that China's been doing for more than 10 years. There's a lot of disturbing things been going on in the world, but I've been trying to focus more on my path and how I can help people. And
I think we all need to do that, really, and
me walking my path.
and people can walk their path simply by being kind and helpful to other people too, even just by smiling at somebody. It could be all the difference in the world for them, for their day. It could make their day. Things like that, just the little things. People think they have to do these great big things, and you really don't.
Small things add up, and they can make a world of difference. Now, I will say that not everybody's path is going to be the same, but we're all going to the same place as far as the end result. But it's the journey down the path that Spirit is interested in. And the only compass you really have is your intuition.
What do you think about this? Jay thought I know what they're saying. A lot of us thought the 4D superpowers were going to be a thing and we were going to be living like the comic books. Is it completely off table, or do the energies hint otherwise?
Well, the energies hint that it's more than a fable. Most of the fables and things from the past that we heard people could do, that was us. But that was us at a higher vibrational reality. We were actually gone down. We're nowhere near the highest vibration this planet has ever been. In fact, it started out as a 5D planet. And now we're past the lowest point and on our way back up now. So as we choose and walk our path and build ourselves spiritually, physically, and mentally, then we will begin to unlock these gifts, which is what I'm encouraging people. And the biggest lock on these gifts isn't even the vibration. It's the mental blocks. Since we were a kid, schools were designed to destroy the imagination, which is one of the most important spiritual tools for creation. At the same
Yeah.
time, they
Our
also programmed us with a 3D way of life. And that means magic's not real. Oh, Santa Claus isn't real. Well, yes, they are, if you believe in them. Because this is a free will universe and you can manifest anything you truly believe in.
trouble is, we've been conditioned to believe otherwise, to think of ourselves as small and insignificant, and we bought into it and we believe that, and it's a real challenge to change that.
And that's where it brings me to the point about standing in your power. If you're afraid of something, you're not standing in your power. If you have a doubt about something you're doing, and it continues and continues to be a doubt problem that grows in your head, you're not standing in your power. Fear will take you out of your power, regardless of how powerful you really are. And believe me, every one of us is extremely powerful. That's why they want to keep us asleep. It's the only way they can handle us. Unlock that in yourself,
Well, as
connecting to yourself, and removing such programs that magic's not real. Yes, it is. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. You breathe air, but you can't see that.
That's true. My Mather says he smiles at people just to piss them off. It's funny sometimes when you smile at people, they look at you like, "What do you want?" or "What's wrong with you?" I mean, that's kind of sad, but
That's one way of fighting the dark, because when you smile at someone and they get annoyed by it, that means there's something in them that's not very pleasant. And your positive thing was like an attack on them. That's what the light does. Instead of attacking physically, going and blowing up the dark's house or whatever, they kill them with kindness. They really show them love, and it sends them running and screaming. And I've seen this literally. That's part of why it's easier for me to believe in what I do. I can see it. That was my gift.
this is very true too. Mathis says, as long as there are dumbs and child trafficking and sacrifices, the planetary vibration will stay low. And they also put out negative and low vibrations, but they have really been doing quite a job, I think, eliminating a lot of this.
A lot more than you know has already been taken care of, according to some friends of mine in the military. At this point, we're learning about it, but much of it's already been taken care of. And yet there is still some to go, both astrals and otherwise.
Let's just here's an interesting question too by J Thought. He said, is it possible that if Gaia were under serious attack, she could release all blocks and activate our powers to fight on her behalf?
Yes and no. It is true Gaia can remove those limitations, but there's also the issue of free will. Individually, we would have to choose to stand in our power to do this. Gaia never locked us from it. The dark situation started back in Atlantis, when they caused the first downfall and the second, from 5 to 4, then 4 to 3.
Wow.
A long time ago, using exactly child sacrifice and demonic practices. And that's really the only magic that people really think of nowadays. But the flip side of that, anything the dark can do, the light can do too. Except we wouldn't be killing kids, we'd be saving them. We wouldn't be sacrificing more than our own energy because we'd be coming from a place of love, not this hatred. And they want you to be hatred towards them. They want you to be angry because then they've got your energy. Unless you come out of that paradigm where they can steal your energy. Because if you're standing in your power, they can't touch your energy unless you give it to them. They also cannot affect your immediate space without you giving consent. You literally have to take responsibility for your own energy, though, in order to stand in your power.
It whispers on winds. Belief is a tough one. You have to reprogram your subconscious mind, and that is very true.
Do you know how you bring something out of the subconscious?
No?
You become aware of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. If you're aware that you're breathing funny, then it's no longer a subconscious thing. It's conscious. You're aware of it. Therefore, you can do something about it. But as long as it stays in the subconscious, such as watching commercials on TV, they're designed to affect your subconscious, to program you, make you want that product, make you whatever they're programming. But if you're consciously aware that they're trying to do that, you can still watch the commercial and you won't be affected because you're consciously aware they're doing that. Therefore, you can reject it.
Oh, that makes sense. Here, Wide Awake says, due to holidays being manipulated, I do not celebrate holidays. I do not celebrate holidays either.
I do for my 3D kids, but beyond that, personally, no, I really don't. I celebrate life every day.
Elated Veracity, that WhiteFox's Telegram channel is in the description of this video. So what about the photon belt? Let's talk about the photon belt a little bit.
Okay.
Where are we in terms of the photon belt? And is that the energetics that are going to bring us into our superpowers, our reconnect our DNA? Is it that, or is it the solar flash, or both of them?
The solar flash is like the match point, or the point, or like knocking over the domino. The photon belt, or the energetic fog that our solar system has been moving into, is back as far as the 80s. At the beginning of in 86, 87, began the precession of the equinoxes. It's a 36-year window. By the end of that window, the sun does its flash. Well, the precession of the equinoxes actually correlates to the photon belt. And as we move into it, it's the completion of, I think it's a 340 million year cycle. We're in that moment now. If you look scientifically, as far back as 2011, scientists at NASA have been taking pictures of all the planets. And they've noticed significant changes in all the planets. In fact, ours is the only one that has not completed a pole flip. The sun even flipped its poles last year. When our planet finishes the flip, it'll be caused by the solar flash. And the photon belt is what's actually triggering the changes in all the planetary bodies, which the sun is the logos for our solar system. And the oversouls are each of the planets in our solar system for this particular game. And I say it as a game because to spirit, this is a game. Down here, it feels super real, but on the other side, it's a whole lot more real than this. But anyway, as the photon belt finally reaches our sun, and when it intermingles the energy, Spirit has shown me multiple times since 2012 that this triggers the sun to cause the solar flash.
Okay.
And that was the divine timing that triggered it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about. And yeah, you just hit on what I was getting at, if that was going to do that.
Sorry, it was a long-winded answer, but it was necessary to get the right answer.
No, that's fine.
Not everybody keeps up with the science.
Here's another question for you. Let's see. So does the dark hold back simply because if they do it, we will see it and suddenly remember we can do the same trick, then the fighting really begins?
I'm going to say yes if we choose to fight. But if you do the inner work while you're gaining through this, you'll realize that when it's time that we can do the same thing as them, we by doing the same thing as them, we would realize that's only perpetuating it, and we're trying to stop it. Therefore, you wouldn't really want to start really fighting, even though you are now capable at that point. The real fighting is going on inside of yourself. Each one of us that awakens takes away from the dark. The more of us that awaken, the more light on the planet, on top of the photonic energy coming from both the universe and our logos, the sun.
You know, I heard something. It just reminded me of something. The saying, "I'm my own worst enemy," and the fact of the matter is, it's probably not even you. It's probably thoughts and triggers from negative entities that.
A lot of it, yes, but the ego actually listens to it, and the ego is a program to keep you physically alive and was designed originally for the body, just to keep you from physically hurting yourself before you got to enjoy the experience of life. It got hijacked by the dark, therefore it's actually being controlled by the dark through the subconscious. The subconscious controls the ego based on what's available to it, but the subconscious doesn't miss anything, including that entity that might be behind you whispering in your ear.
This is something that's true, so I'm going to put it up there. Mathis is saying that I bring up the dumbs, Vatican, pedos everywhere, etc., and people don't want to hear about it. And
of course not. They're not ready to deal with the darkness that they're a part of, whether they're aware of it or not, because we are a collective body. By ignoring it, we're allowing the dark to continue. It gives them what they call silent consent by not doing anything about it. By not standing up for it, you're giving them silent consent, which is kind of a violation of free will. But at the same time, if we do nothing, they take it as we're giving them the permission to do it, which is why they put a lot of programming in movies and TV about AI taking over and all of this.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything much good about AI, that's for sure.
AI is just a tool and can never be as good as we are, even if it can think faster than we can. We have something it doesn't. AI does not have a soul.
Right.
And that's why we can ascend, but AI can only go up to the fifth level, or the fifth dimension. Fourth density, fifth dimension. Depends on who you ask.
Can you see the Earth Schumann resonance, and what does it tell us about the Earth and the ascension process? Do you have a perspective on that?
I can feel the Earth Schumann resonance, and when I meditate and connect with Gaia directly, it can show me what its frequency and vibration is. But as far as a readout like science gives you when you look at their Schumann charts, it's not the same. It's really hard to put the words because I see it more as a color and an intensity resonating from the earth and anything in tune with it, including people, plants, locations. The intensity is what tells me how much closer we are to the event, which we're getting pretty close now. The end of the precession of the equinoxes is in 2032. The event is to occur before that, from what I've been shown as of this year, in different dreams and visions. I don't think we're going to make it to next summer before it happens. But that's just based on my own opinion as well as my own visions and dreams.
Before the flash happens? Is that what you...
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, okay.
It can happen between right now and 2032. However, I believe it's going to happen like within the next 6 months, but I don't know that for sure. So
I hope you're right on that.
I hope so too. It's really been wearing on me dealing with all of this. It's really hard to relate to other people when I look at a person, only one of my eyes shows me their physicality, and the other one shows me their aura. Or when the energy is really intense, my aura vision takes over all my sight, and it makes it where I can't drive.
Wow.
Yeah, my right eye has always shown me the aura since I was a child, even before I knew what it was. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I actually learned what it is I'm looking at. I was even considered insane because I could see shit no one else could, and they just thought I was psychotic or something. No, I live a normal life. They let me back out of the institution because I'm not a danger.
You know, it's some interesting because this talk of these lower entities that throw thoughts in our way and in our minds and sometimes attach to people and so on. I have heard from several people now, and it's very interesting that people with mental health issues, that it's frequently as a result of some type of attachment. And it's especially true with schizophrenia and things. What do you think about that?
I would say that that's only a half correct answer. Yes, that can be some result, but there are some people that society simply labels as crazy so no one will take them serious. There are also people out there who are crazy because they don't have an instruction booklet, but they might have this gift where they can hear into the 4D or even higher sometimes. They might have a gift where they can sense or feel something, and their reaction to not knowing what it is causes some event that they get labeled as crazy and put in a rubber room. I've met several people that way. They weren't crazy, but no one, the 3D institutions don't have a way to comprehend what we're talking about. So they label you as crazy. Now, there are a number of factors that can cause schizophrenia and other disorders. But in most cases, it's not really a disorder. It's them not knowing how to cope with their gift. We all have gifts, and they express differently for each of us.
Well, do you believe we were all sent here with a purpose? That we are really a select group?
Yes.
We are yeah.
There was a select group of souls brought in this time. They started actually more than 100 years ago with the first Indigo kids. I literally can know what they're talking about on that because I can see it. The reference to an indigo refers to a soul that their aura actually is the indigo in color for the overall. The rainbow kids, or the ones that started coming in with a more deep rainbow colors displayed in their aura, these are different spiritual levels these kids actually are. These are some of the souls. And there's a lot more of them than people know. The government's had technology to see the aura since the 1920s, but they won't share it with the public. And I mean far better than the aura camera that we hear about from the 60s.
Someone's asking, how do we see the aliens that are walking among us, or can we?
You can train yourself to remove the veil off your own eyes. You can learn to see the aura. Some gifts we all have ability to get to, but we have to develop them with practice. Usually removing that veil off your own eyes, that one is usually triggered by a real epiphany and belief that there's so much more there.
Timo's being funny. How do we see the aliens walking among us? Look in the mirror.
A lot of times you can actually tell just by the way they carry themselves, because they're totally different in the way they act, look, walk. Even if they're really good at mimicking the human, there will be little telltales in their sign. I've never had to rely on that because I can actually see it in the aura. I have seen reptilians walking around and their aura is that of a dinosaur. I mean, in shape. But they'll look human. And I've seen other things that show up in the aura too that indicate that they're not human. And I don't know what they are specifically. I have met a number of entities in the astrals and physically. And I have actually had, a couple of years ago, I had an experience where I got up at 3:33 in the morning, walked in my living room, and there was an entity. It looked like an orb, with every color in the rainbow plus 10,000 constantly rotating like a super fast kaleidoscope, about a 4-inch to 8-inch size ball, sitting on my couch. And then it morphed into a humanoid figure. Looked like a dude.
Interesting.
And I remember about 2 hours of standing there just staring and getting these mental images. And then the next morning, I woke up still standing in the same spot in my living room, and it was gone.
Wow.
Just one of many experiences due to my sight.
Jay Thought's asking if you have ever called out a reptilian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I sure have, and was met with even physical violence in one case. The guy attacked me because I pointed it out because he was trying to sweet talk some girl.
Is it an instant battle?
He physically attacked me in the human form and got thrown out of the bar I was at shooting pool.
Wow.
That was not a pleasant experience, but I called it out. And he quickly changed direction and came at me like he was going to kill me for pointing it out.
All right. Well,
when you can see them, they can see you. I can tell you that much.
the battle of your life. Okay. Let's see. I never heard of this one. I heard there are little type astral Godzillas running around called Kaiju. Are you serious,
The Kaiju
Smith?
are real.
Really?
The Kaiju are real, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a concentration of them somewhere around California. There's supposed to be a city directly below, I think it's LA or something, that they actually are still at.
Oh, I'll be darned. Which, oh, wait a minute. What? Timo says he'd rather play with a bug than a lizard. I don't know about that. We have a lot of little lizards here that are pretty harmless. And
not all lizards are bad or evil. There is a percentage of them that
cute.
is pretty dark in service to self. But there is also some benevolent ones running around.
Okay, Jay Thought's asking if do the reps have their own activation they are waiting for, or waiting on?
I know they do have
personally myself. I don't think so.
I do know that they have their own
what?
Spiritual way to ascend and to grow, but I don't. I can't really say for sure what it is. I didn't have that conversation with them, but their chakra network was a bit different than ours. But still, everything was there.
Do they have a soul? I didn't think they did.
The reptilians themselves, they do, unless they've chosen the darker path, which is the ones that were controlling the elites here in 3D. I say were because most don't know that most of them are gone already. There's only a few stragglers, and that's because they don't want to be taken to the central sun and put back to source. Many of them are no longer connected to source who have chosen the dark path, and that's why they feed on our energy, because that's what's keeping them from going poof.
All right, well, I think we're going to have to bring it to a close here because we're running up on an hour and a half. Let me see what. Okay, I want to show you something that's in the description real quick.
Alrighty.
And I just want you to be aware of it. And this particular little video is fascinating. It's in the description, and I would encourage you to watch it. This should be really interesting for most people. So I just want to bring that to your attention because I think this is a new and fascinating product that there isn't anything else like it, and I'm hoping that it is everything that they say it is, and I think it is, but I can't say for sure. That's under review, and I'd encourage you, if you decide to try or anything, please keep me aware, and I do have a link for that if you're interested. So I'm supposed to ask you one more question, WhiteFox, and then we're going to have to go. Okay. Let's
Alrighty.
see. Ask him, please. I assume this is the question. I was told one of my soul fractals is a bad ass Keiju. I need to retake or return to rightful owner and get rid of it. Place in a pocket dimension as it's causing a lot of harm. Is that the question? Is that? Wait a minute. That's not the question.
If you have a dark part of you, a fragment such as a Keiju, not all Keijus are dark, first off. Second, that doesn't need to be locked away. It needs to be brought back to the whole of your being in order to ascend. Because in the process is to become more whole and to rise up. Taking all those fragments of yourself and reconnecting with them will actually help you to grow spiritually and into the larger part of yourself.
It's just hard to show your energy. Okay, let's just one more question here. I want to ask this one too. Material is designed and funded to steal XX materials designed to and funded to steal your energy. Is this one worse because it's everywhere?
Polyester.
I don't know. Polyester? Is that
Polyester. Polyester sucks your energy and also attracts negative orgone or chi energy, and in concentration can actually cause you to die.
Wow, that's interesting. Actually, one of the things that, wow, and it wears that usually the lower income people because it's a cheap thing. So,
The suits are made of it too.
do you know that wool and linen has a Hertz value of 5,000?
Yes, they are some of the best things you can wear. Natural silk is another good one.
And I have to tell you, the hat that I wear is made out of wool. It's a Greek fishing hat, but it's made out of wool. So I'm hoping that protects my chakra, my crown chakra. When I do
The best clothing to wear would be either those hot materials in the winter or cotton in the summer because it doesn't harm or hinder your energy. Polyester, however, is quite the opposite and very detrimental.
Okay, Timo, maybe you should contact me. Anyway, I think we got, let me see if there's anything else here. All right. Someone says they can't find you on, you don't have a YouTube channel, right?
No, I do not. I don't do social media beyond Telegram. It's just too energy sucking. Facebook is the worst about sucking your energy through the screen.
Really?
Yes. I would like to point out another thing about black mirrors. All your devices are black mirrors. They can be used to suck your energy out. Whether when they're in the off position, they're a black mirror. There are things you can do to bless or protect the screen to prevent that portal from being used by the dark. But your black mirror screens are all portals that can allow the dark 4D entities to come through and suck your energy.
Interesting. Alrighty then. Well, I think we're going to have to bring this to a close because if it gets too long, it gets hard to reproduce. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. And I appreciate the conversation we had. And I think our guests enjoyed it. Our listeners enjoyed it very much as well. So
I'm grateful for getting the opportunity to share, and my message would be to have everyone stand in their power.
Yes, that's the theme here. Maybe we should have named this show that, Stand in Your Power. But anyway.
We can do another one sometime if you like.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. I don't know why that sound keeps going off, but anyway.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up. Stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers. Fighting our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your